Okay, and let me just go live on Instagram. Come on. Okay.
I love
All right. We're live. For the first time ever, we are What the Frac Live. Tamara, this is a long time coming, and when we decided to do What the Frac, there was like all of this discussion, like, do we bring guests on? Do we do topics? Like, how do we do it? And we picked the troubleshooting episodes. We picked the case studies because we felt like those were the most needed information out there. And then we started meeting fractional executives and marketers who were just so amazing. And we needed to like have these conversations. And so welcome to What the Frac Live.
What the Frac Live. Fractional teams and fractional advice.
Yes. So this is obviously a live. There may be coughing, there may be people making sounds, but what's wonderful about today is that our first ever guest is Megan Ferguson, and I'm super excited because I know her and she's a badass social media marketer. Tamara, you were just meeting her, so Megan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, totally. And I'm super honored to be the first live guest on the show. Like, that's really awesome that you chose me. So thank you. But yeah, I'm Megan. I'm based out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm the owner of Backcourt Marketing. So we're a social media marketing agency, and we work with small to medium-sized businesses of any type of industry, shape or size, and we help those who want to see an improvement in their social media performance. So we're full service. We do the content creation, posting, engagement, all those things that are needed. And we've been around about 6 years, and we work with companies nationwide.
Amazing. So I'm going to start with a really, I want to start the topic. I know that the conversation's going to go like as a flow here, but where I want to start the topic is like the big question, probably, hot take is, should people be LinkedIn marketing?
I might be a little biased because my answer is yes, but LinkedIn is such a opportunity. It's just, there's so much on there, but it really depends, I guess, on what you're trying to do. So if you're in the B2B space and you have a goal to get in front of decision makers who are, let's say it's HR managers in Austin, Texas, then you can very directly make that happen on LinkedIn. And so that's what it's really good for.
Okay, but here's the question, because I'm like, I love these things. It's like solve all of our problems, right? LinkedIn, it sounds amazing, but I think the main thing that's happening right now is like inbox overload. So how do you figure out how to sort, like how to do LinkedIn marketing without being, just another one of those messages sponsored in an inbox?
Another one of those spammy guys who say, hey, I've never met you, but let's meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people are definitely overwhelmed with that and they're tired of it. And, it's funny. I actually just happened to be showing somebody how to do this an hour before this. But, when we work with people on their LinkedIn, we use what we call the LinkedIn human method. And this is how we get into their personality and figure out like what's your favorite books you've been reading, where have you traveled lately, and create their human brand on LinkedIn for those who don't really want to do that themselves or just don't want to manage that part of their business. But what's important is if you're going to be doing that direct message outreach, which can be very effective for lead generation, you want to be strategic about it. I mean, the first rule of thumb is always include a connection request message. So don't just send the connection request, but put a line that says why you're connecting with them and be specific about it. Like I want to meet more HR managers in Texas for this reason, or, I want to have these types of conversations as opposed to let's connect, or I want to add you to my network, because that it doesn't mean anything and it's very self-serving. And then if you're going to continue forward and use it for lead generation, I would start by just introducing yourself very briefly and say, here's what I do, here's the problem I solve, and maybe end with a line of value. So if you have a recent blog post or a resource, and say, here's our 5 tips that address the specific pain point that your job title has usually. Here's a resource for that. If you wanted to be more networking focused, you could ask a question like, something that gets them to actually respond. If you end with a question, there's more of a chance that people will respond. And then give it time. If you're going to come in with an offer, and, you obviously, if you're doing this, you want to make it effective. So you have a goal in mind. And so if that goal is to schedule meetings or, share demos, book, whatever the case is, come in with that at a later time, space out your messages, try and have other in-between conversations or share that value before you come in with that offer. And if you're going to do that too, put some sort of urgency or exclusivity behind it and say, we want to work with 5 companies in this industry this month to give them a free demo on this. So if you're gonna be one of those guys without being one of those guys on LinkedIn, that's a good way to do it, and complement it with content that shares your expertise. If you're reaching out but you're not posting, it's not going to look good. They want to go to your profile and see that you're sharing value and that you're active on LinkedIn and that you're a real human being and not a bot.
Yeah. It's funny. I brought that up half jokingly because anyone who's watching this who's a marketer, our main demographic of people who watch us are marketers, fractionals, CMOs, but also business owners and startup founders, right? And if you're a marketer watching, where that LinkedIn joke comes from. If you're a business owner, you've probably have like an inbox full of spam. And it's really interesting because I saw on your services when we were talking about services that you do at LinkedIn marketing, which is just something that a lot of marketers shy away from. And I have found, like, as long as it fits the demographic you're looking at, right? Like the buyer persona you're trying to go for, it could be really, really great, but you have to like when you're connecting, you shouldn't be like connecting with the intention of like selling something. You should be starting to build that community. You should be connecting and bringing value. And then then it goes to like when you have a offer, now they see it, right? They've already built trust with you. They know who you are, even if you haven't met in person. And so I think that that's a really interesting line to constantly be, kind of toting. But I find your services a little different from some social media marketing companies. Basically, I find that like you really think of how do we build a conversation? How do we build a community? Not just like, hey, I'm going to post on social for you. Because I saw that there's like a lot of things around connections and DMs and like really, like fostering that community. So is that kind of where you come from? Like how does that, like, what's the hot take? I don't know. I'm rambling now. What's the hot take that I need to know about social media?
Yeah, well, it's funny because, our services have evolved over the years because based on what I've observed and what I've seen works and what doesn't work. But, a lot of people are mistaken that we're going to hire a social media manager and they're going to post for us and then just leave it at that. But you have to spend equal parts time actually engaging on social media. You need to be if you're going to spend the time making the posts, you want them to be seen by the right people. You don't want it to just go into the Netherlands and nobody gets it. So, that's why engagement is actually a big part of what we do. And, I try and layer it in with every service. And even those who might say like, oh, well, we do that on our own. Like, no, but you should let us do it because we know how to do it like platform by platform. And when it comes to Instagram, that's usually the most important place to engage because there's so many little tricks and tidbits and things that you can do to get your post seen by more people. But we've even kind of put together like a 6-step process for this that I've yet to actually formally release it. So I guess this is like a non-intentional plug, but we've done it so often that I'm like, let's just put this in an ebook now, because we have our own SOP. Why don't we give other marketers, the resources to do this themselves if they really want to do it? So, we found that there's a method and tricks and things that you could do within Instagram, hashtags to search, stories to post, story stickers to utilize that generate the most engagement. And it's formatted in a way that, if you're doing your business Instagram engagement for 10 minutes a night while you're in bed and going to sleep soon, you can refer to this guide and just follow the steps and do, okay, I'm going to focus on step 1 tonight. And as long as you follow those steps, it's going to be effective, and you're going to see things expand and things go in the right direction.
I think what you're saying is so important, because you said in the beginning, I'm basically going to reiterate what you said. You can't just post, you have to engage. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think all too often we can focus on making things look really nice. Right. And we spend so much time on, if it's Instagram, the grid and things like that. But when it comes down to it, people just want to engage and be a part of the community. So once that post is up, it's equal parts as important to respond to comments, all of that stuff takes work.
Yeah. And there's things you can do too that a lot of people don't think about, but tap into your competitors. Like, think about a page that you've looked at that you're like, why doesn't ours look like this? Like, why are they doing so well on social media? Well, start to look at their posts and see, what kind of comments are they getting on it? What are they doing to get activity happening? And you can even, follow the followers of those pages, or like the comments that people leave on their pages, because then those are people who are directly interested in the service that you provide, and they're more likely to follow you back, or, see you'll gain visibility from the right kind of people. So just tap into your network, and, anytime you look in the little explore tab on Instagram and start to customize it more in your favor, you'll start to see all these opportunities open up and things that you could be doing, and you'll start showing up in there yourself. But you have to take those steps. You can't just post and ghost, as I like to call it.
Yeah. I have to work on my Explore right now. It's just all the British Royals. It's just
Are you still on that? Because mine is JoJo Siwa. I don't know what you're talking about.
Me too. Within the last 2 days, I've got JoJo Siwa everywhere, and I've never asked for any of that. I don't know.
I've never listened to her. I don't even understand where she came from, anything, but I'm so interested in what's going on right now. And for a while, we had an episode on Taylor Swift, and so now my Explore page is really screwed up. I'm not gonna lie. Taylor Swift. I'm not even a Swiftie. Don't hate on me. I like Taylor Swift, but I'm not a Swiftie. Taylor Swift, JoJo Siwa. Like, I just want my puppies back. Like, where are my puppies?
Same here.
So this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but we see all the time on social media things around, like, what tips can we do to, increase engagement, or, what content you should be putting out there. And I truly think that, an ebook like what you're talking about, or these steps or these tips that we're looking for, only work if the content you're putting out there actually is authentic. Right? There's probably some people out there who'd put inauthentic content out there and they're still doing great. But the majority of it is people want content that is valuable to them, especially if you're looking for a specific buyer, right? So you could put inauthentic content out there. You can copy and paste someone else's. You can do all these tips. At the end of the day, you're not going to make sales if it's not the correct buyers out there. And if you are hitting the correct buyers, it's probably because your content is is really authentic, really valuable. And if you're trying to do all these tips and you're not seeing this increased, it's probably because your content's just, lack of a better term, crap. I don't know. You're trying too hard. No, I don't mean it people don't want to hear their baby's ugly, but if you are really valuable because of a certain skill you have, right? We all are. We all have really opinions that are valuable and experiences that are valuable to people, right? And that's why we made whatever product it is we're selling. But if you're not putting that out there in a way that is authentic to you. If you're just telling people what they want to hear or copying other people's posts, all these tips that Megan and any of these other social media experts give you aren't going to really work for you. I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I discuss.
Yeah, I think people get really overwhelmed with all the information that's on social media. Because especially if you're a business or a social media marketer, like my business feed is just a million people saying, do this, but not that, do this and that, make a post about this, use all 6 of these trending audios in the same week and post them at this time. Like, it's very overwhelming. And it's frankly unnecessary. And so I think people get really overwhelmed and they think that they need to do all of these things. But really, at the end of the day, a good social media presence comes down to, are you providing value to your followers? And are your followers your target audience? Are you speaking to them? Are you giving them a reason to continue to follow you? So if you're sticking to, whatever it is that you're good at, if you provide education, inspiration, even entertainment, whatever your page is all about, if you circle it back to that all the time, then that's how you know that you're doing it right on social media.
Out of sheer curiosity, what are you seeing these days that resonates more? Is it the highly choreographed, produced content, or the overtly, casual, less produced content?
Kind of a mix of both. So it comes in 2 ways, because this year, I think there was a big shift towards longer form content. And the reason for that is because people have developed what I call TikTok brain, and our attention spans are just getting smaller and smaller, and it's affecting our daily concentration and our mental health and just a lot of things. And so people got burnt out on all of the mass information overload, and they're looking now for content that is longer form and education driven or value packed. And then, as far as it could be choreographed or planned or structured, whatever it is, there's the other layer of that. People just really want authenticity, so much so that wasn't the word of the year last year or authentic, or it was like the Merriam-Webster word of the year. They do something like
Probably.
that, but it was authentic. And, for a reason, because people with AI coming out, they're seeing a lot of inauthentic things. There's a lot of, bad stuff on social media. And so people just want refreshing. They want something that provides value. They want something that holds their attention for longer. And so I think, content such as this, we've got a good mix here because it's long form, but it's also informal, and we're not dancing or doing JoJo Siwa dances, or we don't have we have somewhat of an agenda, but we're not, it's not too structured. It's a good balance. And so, either of those works out.
Tamara, we are Megan approved.
No, it's, I don't know if you guys can spot it, but I can spot the AI written stuff now so quickly, and it's frustrating. And I see it in presentations, and I see it in emails, and I'm guilty of also doing it in emails, just because the amount of work in front of, I think, everyone is very high right now. So AI is useful, but how do you find that balance in marketing, right?
Yeah, I think, and I actually heard the other day, someone was telling me that there is now companies who will not put it in the contract. They will not work with anyone who actually uses AI tools in their workload, especially in marketing. And it's understandable, right? We took a little bit of a pivot here at Clever Cow, towards taking less clients on, and trying to see if that changes our results or anything like that with the clients we have. And, we haven't felt the need to go and start using AI, right? I think a lot of these AI tools are meant for efficiency, are meant for we'll use them in ways of proofreading, or, hey, I have this big piece of content, can you make it a little smaller, or things like that, but not in the way, my prediction for the next 3 years is that in 3 years, 5 years, people are going to be like, oh my God, how did that thought leader get so big? I don't understand. What is she doing? What are the tips and tricks? And we're going to be on here talking about it. And their tip and trick is going to be that they actually have authentic value that they're giving that's coming from them and not from AI scraping the internet for the answer, right? So I just think that we have to think through authenticity and how does that fit for the future of your company.
I think one of my favorite tools for AI, so it's like almost like how do you get away from some of the productivity tools with AI, right? Because those are the ones that are really like causing the lack of the brain drain, you would say, right? Mm-hmm. The productivity ones, even though it's like, it does feel like we need them. Like that's where I'm finding the brain drain. But I really do like there's some AI tools out there in marketing for analytics, especially with ads. Mm-hmm. And you get to see very cool, very interesting information coming at you as like, okay, you did 20 ads. What was the number one color that like had the best result? Or what was across the board in all of these ads that had the most clicks, right? Like really interesting information that you're like, oh, I don't think I would have pulled that out myself. Like when I did this with a company that I worked with, one thing that came out was ads with people in hats somehow work better, right? Like it was like, oh, you start thinking about it. There's a casual nature to it. Oh, it's funny, but it was really interesting, right? Like it just pulled out some things that you probably wouldn't think about that I found really, really useful.
Yeah. I think that's where like the like review process comes in, right? I don't know about you guys, but I feel like marketers are like allergic to review processes and KPIs sometimes. And generally the clients who come to us and are like, oh, marketing doesn't work for us, or like we've been burned before, it's because they like don't have those review processes. And so whether you're using AI to streamline it or not, I think like the review process, like going back to what Megan said about social media, about people being sick of this, like, over information, like short, form TikTok brain things. I have plenty of people who I'm like, yes, they have these like, 10-second videos that have the like, this is your problem. If this is your problem, follow me. And then I follow them. And then after like a week of following them, and I realize every reel is the same thing. It's just telling me my problem. It never tells me the solution. I like want to unfollow them. But unless you're looking and reviewing those KPIs, you never actually can see that. You just see your followers going up. You're like, okay, cool, I'm doing the right content, but you're not seeing like, if you're reviewing it, you'll see, oh, I'm losing followers after a week, a month, a year. Maybe it's because I'm not giving the right amount of value. I don't know. I just think that the review process, whether it's with AI or not, is so important.
Yeah. Every day there's a new AI tool. I can't keep up with it all, but every day somebody tells me about something new. I'm like, okay, got to sign up for that. Got to try this one out. But I heard of one the other day that was, it was something about you can have it film you doing a task on your screen, and then it'll pump out an SOP for it when you're done. So if you do a job, it'll record it, it'll put together the training manual, and then you give it to somebody else to do it. I can't imagine how good it is, but like that sounds like the coolest thing ever. I gotta test that out.
I was gonna say we need to find what that is. Okay, anyone knows what that is, please let us know, because that sounds awesome.
I think it's called, it starts with a T. It's Tango. Tango.us.
Okay, we're all gonna try that out. We'll let you guys know what that does. No, but there are really good applications. It's just not like going to ChatGPT and being like, can you write 20 social media posts for me? Right. Like, it's just, I just think that there are applications. It's AI is like the new project management software. I think, we use ClickUp mainly because one of the main reasons is because once the data is in there, every one of my teammates can look at ClickUp in a different way. So if one teammate, their personality likes spreadsheets. They can look at it in a spreadsheet. I personally like boards and calendars, and I want confetti when I finish a task, right? Like, so I look at it that way. But we have engineers who don't want to see any of that, right? Yes, Tamara, laugh at me. I like confetti when I finish a task. Thank you. I want a unicorn to fly across the screen, But based on your personality type, right? You want to see things in different ways. And that's the reason I found that most project management software is Asana, Trello. Like I've used Jira, every single one of them. And they all are great, except for it depends on who's looking at the software. And so most teams, one person or one department loves the software and the rest hate it. And I think it's going to be the same thing with this AI marketing software, which is you're going to get 10 marketers who love one of them, 10 marketers who love a different, 10 marketers who love the third one, and they all kind of do the same thing. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. My project manager, who's great, by the way, she knows all of these tools, and she's said pretty much the same exact thing. They all can do almost the same things, but some people like them, some people don't. We use Trello for a lot of our stuff. Which is connected to Asana, and Asana looks very similar. I've learned it's the same. But, I've had people come and go who either do the Trello or they don't. They can figure it out or they don't. And, we've used it for, with clients for approval processes. And every now and then I'm like, this client is not going to figure that out. Like I just know they're not going to open up this board and look at it that way. So then we do, a Google Sheet or something more simple. But yeah, there's so many of them out there.
Yeah, I've got Nicole, I'm going to be picking your brain on ClickUp. I'm a Airtable person right now, and maybe transitioning into a different productivity tool. So yes.
Oh, Jonathan is agreeing with us that it was a good point. There's no omni solution. I love that. I honestly though, Jonathan, I would love for you to try ClickUp because I am obsessed. You would think that I work for them. I think it's the best one out there because it has all of the different things together. But changing subjects just a bit, Megan, why is it so hard for me to do my own social media as an agency owner, as a fractional executive, even though I do this for all my clients? Why is it so hard for me to do it myself?
Yeah, same here. You're not the only one. I think it's the same reasons that our clients come to us. We are them. We get it. We're business owners. Most of the time marketers don't have the time or space or patience to invest in making sure that their social media pages or their content is actually doing what it's supposed to. And we put our own marketing on the back burner. And I've done that so many times to where, I'm like, it's so important though, because, you're not going to buy, I had a friend put this the perfect way the other day. You're not going to hire an accountant who's bad with her own finances. So it's important that we have a really stellar marketing presence. But I know personally, I overthink a lot of my own marketing. And it's easy for me to do it for others. But then when it comes to myself, I overthink it. And we really need to, it's so important to collaborate with other marketing people and do what we're doing here, because you need just a second set of eyes. You need a fresh perspective. You need somebody to just take a look as an outside person who may or may not be affiliated and say, this is what I get out of this. And see if it's working in your favor or not. But yeah, I get stuck all the time. I got to a point, I'm like, if we just apply our same client process to ourselves, then we'll have the same results as our clients. So why are we not doing that? And we're getting better about doing that. But a lot of times, I pull in help from my team. I don't do it all myself. I have team members do social media posts and, sometimes write content for the website, because I'm like, I'd rather hear your perspective. And I know how I might write it, but I'd rather somebody else tell me how they see us,
Yeah.
I actually for a second forgot that we were live because I was enjoying our conversation so much. And then Jonathan made me realize there are people who might be listening. So if anyone has a question, just put it in the comments and we'll answer it.
Right? Seriously. No, I think, it's if anyone wants to join our little group of marketers, I think you bring up a good point is collaboration, right? We use our social media a lot of times as a testing ground before we go and tell a client like, hey, we're seeing momentum here. Like you should do this. Anytime we bring in a vendor, anytime we bring in a new process or a new protocol, like we test it on our stuff first to see if it's working. And so, Tamara and I were just talking about this marketing, and I think social media especially, but marketing in general is making an assumption, then doing something to validate that assumption, and then either pivoting or continuing, right? And being consistent. And the more experience we have as marketers, that's why we get paid, certain marketers get paid more because based on their experience, because they can make better assumptions based on their experience, right? And so, if I'm not in social media every day, well, even if I have a client that I do social media for, it's nice to like be able to talk to someone who is in social media every day, right? So like as marketers, I think we should have these like little groups where we're like coming together and saying, here you go, here's the tips I learned this week, here's the challenges I had, and like who do we have to talk to about this?
Yeah, especially because marketing just has so many specialties, So when we do social media, it's always in line with the rest of their strategy. We hope to work with those who like have a marketing plan in place and they are also doing email, or they use their website for this, or they've got lead forms, or whatever the case is, whatever else they do, or how their salespeople do their outreach too. We like to align our efforts that way because it all needs to make sense, because a business can hire all these different vendors in all these different areas, but they need to collaborate so that everyone's on the same page, or else you're just throwing money out the window.
It's true. And most companies just don't have that plan, right? Like that's the soapbox. Tamara can tell you that soapbox I have been on is like, we need plans so that the work you're doing, like the activities you're working towards are actually getting you to your goal and not just busy work. And marketing can become busy work. And that's why I think founders, owners, they're in reactive states of growing their business, and they're not proactive because they're so reactive to, oh, there's a new trend. Oh, I got to do this dance on TikTok. Oh, I am now frozen because I have to write this blog post about a thing that I don't really know anything about, right?
Yeah. With 100 titles for blogs, and I'm going to do one every day for the next, 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. That's Nicole's soapbox. Mine is feedback loops. What's your soapbox, Megan?
My soapbox. Well, that changes all the time. But I'd say my soapbox for the week. It'd be like going about social media the wrong way, or hiring the wrong way. So, what happens is these businesses, they usually go one of 3 or 4 different paths when it comes to social media, because too often they put it on the back burner. So what they'll do is they'll say, oh, we've got our front desk person can do it, or we'll hire an intern, or my cousin's niece's dog can do it, or whatever. Here's the deal, like that can work out very well. Like if you want to start with that, great. Like that can turn into good things. I mean, that's how I got started, and why I gained my expertise. But if you're going to do that, you have to accept that you are now taking on a managerial role, and you have to oversee. So it is still your job. You're not really offloading it. You're going to have to review everything and coordinate. But the other option that many companies stick with typically is they hire a full-time employee to do social media, or they give it to their marketing manager who is already in charge of X, Y, and Z. And they're like, hey, you do the website and you do all the outreach and you do email campaigns and you've learned every single project management software out there. You can do the social media too, right? And so naturally it gets put on the back burner. And I don't know about you, but like every I feel like every marketing manager or CMO that I've met of like a big brand is just always consistently overwhelmed. They're always stressed out because these tasks just keep piling onto them. And so, that's why I'm biased, but my soapbox is hire a team. Like, it's time to delegate your social media, because it's okay to kind of hate social media. Like, it's exhausting. You don't have to love it. Like, you don't, I mean, I can say that I sometimes hate social media, because I spend more time on it than most people have to, because I have to. But if I didn't have to, I might not even be on it, because it's just exhausting. And so it's okay to hate it, but tap into the opportunity and do it the right way, and delegate it and off-source it. Because at the end of the day, if you hire a team, for example, or outsource it to a couple people, you've got access to multiple talents that it requires to make a social media presence good. We've got videographers, writers, all of the above, everything that needs to go into having a good social media post. And it's more cost effective. I mean, employees, there's turnover, there's benefits, there's plenty of issues that could come with that. And I see businesses get inconsistent with their social media because, their last marketing manager left and they went 3 months without posting because they were searching for their next marketing manager and things like that. But if you have a team that you delegate, it's always working for you and you don't have to worry about turnover. So,
well, and I think people forget too that, or underestimate that social media is just as important as the landing page for your website. That so many people will look at your social media before they look at your website, or it'll be like they'll go to your website and then it'll be week 2 is look at your social media. So unfortunately, it is very critical in establishing credibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you have a landing page, you need a way to direct people to it. So,
yeah. Well, so Megan, if I am an owner and I am thinking about social media, two-part question. One, how do I know that social media is for me and which platform? And number 2, how do I know when I'm ready or should be looking to outsource? Should it be from day one when I have 0 posts, or should it be after consistency? Like, there's lots of ways or thoughts about this. So how do I know which platforms, and then how do I know when to go higher?
Yeah, I mean, that answer will always be unique and to whatever stage you're at in business, and also what your industry is and where your audience is hanging out. But as far as choosing your platforms, that's where we start with. Our first questions are usually, who is your target audience and what are their pain points? And then we would do the research to find out, where are they hanging out? What platforms are they using? What age group? If you're reaching out to millennials, you should be on Instagram. If you're reaching out to Gen Z, then try out TikTok. And then if you're going to be doing any sort of e-commerce or advertising, then look at the platforms that are going to make sense to advertise on. So that's kind of how you pick. And I'd say, if you're a new business and just setting up your social media profiles, decide like what 3 are going to be most important to you. Maybe even 2. A lot of times you could get away, if you're B2B, you can get away with just Facebook and LinkedIn. A lot of times you don't have to really invest in Instagram if you're a B2B company who doesn't, sell on Instagram. And then what was the second part of your question again?
How do I know when it's time to hire?
Oh, yeah. Depending on where you're at with your business, if you've gotten to a point where you have already started, you've set up your profiles and you are already annoyed and it's time to reach out for help. And it doesn't necessarily mean like you don't always have to invest right away in like a big monthly retainer with a big agency or anything like that. You could come to someone like us and just have us give you an audit and put a plan together. And if you need to tap into your resources, you don't have the funding yet, whatever case you're in, you can use that strategy that we give you and you can have somebody take over it. But when you start the common complaints that I hear from people is either I don't like social media. I don't have time. It's always time, because I know how much time it needs to be invested into making a good social media presence. So business owners rarely have the time. And if you just know that, you need to have visibility, most people that come to me, it's always in the back of their mind. Who are like, I know that we need to do it. I know it's important and I haven't touched it and I just can't. Like, those are usually the triggers of when you should reach out to a social media person and at least just get some tips, at least get some starting points and get some help. And then, sometimes we tell people too, if you're in the beginning stages of your business, focus on these other marketing aspects first and then come to us later. If you don't have a brand, for example, if you don't even have a logo or you're still working on your website, focus on those things first, because social media will use that and direct to it. But in the meantime, do what makes sense for you. Look at your marketing timeline and what you don't have yet and get that built out. And then we'll take it from there.
It's funny because I think, when I approach social media, it's very much either do it or don't, because the halfway is the frustrating thing. Halfway is when you spend just enough time to mess up your schedule and, and hope that you're making progress, but not enough time to actually make progress and hit your goals probably. And so that's when you're going to get really frustrated. You're going to get burnt out. So it's like, do it or don't, and don't be upset if you're not going to do it. But make a choice. Otherwise, you're going to live in a cycle of frustration of not getting enough engagement, not getting enough followers. That's kind of my take on it. In fact, I've even argued sometimes just to, get off social media if you're not going to totally commit.
Yeah. I kind of say the minimum is if you know that you can't post at least 3 times a week, then just don't make it a priority then. Because that's kind of my rule of thumb. We only do minimum 3 posts a week, because if you're doing less than that, it's not going to do a whole lot for you.
Yeah. And be realistic. I think out of all of the marketing activities, I feel like people are most unrealistic around social media. And it's because of all the misinformation out there, right? Like, you're not going to have 600,000 followers in the next 30 days. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone, is telling you out there. And there's obviously exceptions to the rule, right? Like, something goes viral. We all can't, marketers don't actually know how to make something go viral in most cases. We have ideas, we have tips, but we just talked about this, right, Tamara, right? Like, timing, it's kind of a lightning in the bottle situation. Like, you have to have those pieces to it. Yes. But you have to have timing and social climate. And there's just all these things that go into being viral. And so if your marketing plan is viral, if I say to you, hey, business, what's your marketing plan? And you say, go viral, or you tell me Tesla, or you tell me if you tell me things like that, then you don't have a marketing plan. I'm sorry. That's just the case.
Yep.
I've been told, hey, what's your market? So what's your go-to-market strategy? Oh, Tesla. That's not a market strategy. I don't know.
Going viral too, it feels so outdated. That's such an old right? term, but I still hear it every now and then. But you can't just okay, this is going to go viral. It's some people think that you can just click a magic viral button. And do you really want to go viral? Do you want to go viral for the right reasons or the wrong reasons? Do you want to do you want to respond to all those comments? Because I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So Megan, if someone's watching this and they love what you have to say, or they have more information, they want more information, where can they find you?
Yeah, so go to backcourtmarketing.com. The reason for our name, by the way, is just because I come from a sports background and I'm a very big basketball fan. I don't play. I'm 5'3", but it's my inspiration behind everything I do. So the backcourt on a basketball team, we're here to defend your brand, assist you, and help you score. So if you go to backcourtmarketing.com, which we are working on updating, by the way, or if you find us on Instagram, we're at Backcourt Marketing, or I'm very active here on LinkedIn. We're all over social media, as we should be.
Amazing. I love that brand. See, this is why we need other marketers on here. We need to hear their brand stories. If you are a marketer and want to be featured on What the Frac Live, hit us up here on LinkedIn or over at our website, whatthefracshow.com. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn for all the newest weekly drops. We just dropped an episode on troubleshooting go-to-market strategy. Join our email list where you can download our What the Frac, our fracking situation report, which breaks down everything you need to know to become a fractional executive and look at companies in a fractional executive way. Did I miss anything, Tamra?
No. That's it. We're doing case studies. We're doing troubleshooting. We're doing lives. And so if there's a case study that you want us to look into or something that you're trying to troubleshoot, also drop something in the comments.
Well, with that being said, thank you for joining us, Megan, and happy marketing.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Just